Hello there, good afternoon and welcome to The Pulse. We're coming to you live from our studios here in Accra. We're on your digital terrestrial TV because we're free to air. You can get us live on DSTV channel 421 and GoTV channel 144. This is JoyNews, independent, fearless and credible journalism. Coming up this afternoon, Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwives Association warns of a possible health crisis if the Youth Employment Agency does not halt its plans to recruit senior high school graduates as assistant nurses in community health centers across the country. We'll bring you details of the statement from the group, plus hear why they believe government would have to clear the backlog. And the Information Minister hints of a possible injection of foreign exchange into the Ghanaian economy as government remains hopeful these monetary measures will address the free fall of the Ghana cedi. Also, there's a hike in tariffs. It was inevitable. The retort from the Public Utilities Regulatory Commission, is Executive Secretary, as he reveals his outfit did everything within its powers to reduce the burden on citizens.
I'm paying for it, so I want to forgo that. Now you see, you've already taken the return on equity out. You take the online loan out. You see that the number for, say, Ghana Water or ECG has already reached.
It's all coming up here on The Pulse, brought to you by Global Communities Digging in Lieu Affordable Safe Sanitation. Remember, this afternoon we're streaming live on YouTube and all of our social media handles. It's at JoyNews on TV. My name is Blessed Sogah and welcome to the program. This afternoon, the Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwives Association is warning of a dire consequence if government goes ahead with its planned intentions to recruit 5,000 senior high school graduates to assist nurses at community health centers across the country. The Youth Employment Agency at the start of this month explained that its new job plan is to have senior high school leavers help nurses with recording of medical history and symptoms, conducting a physical examination and providing some simple bedside care to patients, mostly in rural communities. However, the Registered Nurses and Midwives Association is describing this particular move as worrying. The group has tabled some demands before government. Let's explain some of them to you. So first of all, the group is making some demands in terms of what the YEA intends to do. In terms of recruiting senior high school students, they are saying that the YEA would have to, as a matter of urgency, halt the training of senior high school graduates since the recording of medical history and symptoms, conducting a physical examination and providing of bedside care requires some special skills which can only be provided by trained health personnel. And in the case of this some of the nurses we're dealing with who have gone through some regulated training by the Nurses and Midwifery Council of the Ghana Midwifery Council, they would be better placed to provide safe and quality health services to the people of Ghana. Now, any further training of SHS graduates which does not conform to the standards set out by the Nurses and Midwifery Council will pose a threat to the lives of all Ghanaians, especially those in rural communities whose first point of access to healthcare, and in some cases the only access to healthcare, are the CHIPS or the community-based compounds as government has set up. Now, furthermore, the group is also indicating that the Ministry of Finance and Health and government for that matter should, as a matter of urgency, recruit the thousands of nurses and midwives waiting to be employed, especially over 10,000 nurses assistants who have already accessed the Ministry of Health recruitment portal. The group is going ahead to call on all nurses and midwives awaiting posting and those waiting for the Ministry of Health recruitment portal to be open for them to remain calm as they work with leadership to get government to do the needful. And then the group is also, and this is a very critical point, asking the authorities to stop the politicization of nurses and midwifery in Ghana. Their belief is that this is getting out of hand, and as a result, the group is calling on every nurse and midwife not to commit themselves in any way to the training of any senior high school graduates who are not, of course, going through the standardized training as stipulated by the Nurses and Midwifery Council of Ghana. So these are some of the demands that the group is putting across, explaining their displeasure as to the decision by the Youth Employment Agency to go ahead with the recruitment exercise. Earlier today, I got in touch with the General Secretary of the Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwives Association, David Tinkranchum, who told me that government would rather have to clear the backlog of some trained nurses waiting to be recruited. Listen.
A publication on Joy Online to that effect, and we have gone on this route before, so we are not surprised at all to see this thing being resurrected. So that was the reason. That is how it came to our attention. The YHO holds that program. They can train people for various reasons. We have no qualms with that. But once they have specified that they are going to train people for that number of weeks to be sent to assist nurses, is where we have the problem. Because we have already trained nurses and midwives in the system, close to about 20,000 people who are ready for employment. 10,727 of them actually access the recruitment portal of the Ministry of Health for the past 9 months. And all what was left was to distribute them to the various agencies under the ministry for them to start work. That did not happen, or it has not happened up to this time. So what is the essence of going to use the taxpayers' money to train people again? And we read in their bullets that they will discharge themselves in a manner, in a way that they could assist nurses by taking medical history. It appears as if they don't understand what constitutes medical history. Now, if you want to take medical history, it's not like, what is your father's name? Where does your father come from? You need specialized skill to be able to do that. So that is what we are saying. And then the second thing is that we have these people who are there, who access the portal, and they are actually nurse preventive officers. You know, we have various levels of entry in nurse. We have those who enter at the degree level and the diploma and the certificate level. At the certificate level, we have nurse assistant clinicals and nurse assistant preventive. The nurse assistant preventive are recruited as community health nurses, okay, at the certificate level. So they are supposed to man these chip centers. And we have several of them in the system looking for employment as far back as 2019. So we think that it is not necessary to go on this route. And that is exactly what we are asking the government to do. And then those, we have also come to the realization that there is bridled over politicization of nursing and midwifery training in this country. All right. We think that the politician must apply the brakes, allow the technocrats to run nursing and its institutions. All right. The interference is just too much. And that is what is killing the profession. And we want to stand as long as they will do the needful. Because we are ever ready to collaborate with anybody, with any agency that will inure, or that will do things that will inure to the benefit of the people of this country. But if they decide to go on this route, then it will not help all of us. Okay? I mean, when COVID broke out, my brother, we lost nurses, we lost doctors, highly trained, skilled personnel who understand infection prevention and the standards of infection prevention, lost their lives. Okay, so what makes you think that when these young ones are brought in, they will not be a danger to themselves and even to the society they purport to be serving? So what we are saying is that nurses don't need any assistance. If we need assistance, we need our own kind to assist us. And many of such are out there looking for employment. So it's very simple. Asking why agency or whatever to employ nurses. No, that is not their mandate. They don't even have the money to employ them. But they shouldn't waste whatever resources they have in employing SHS graduates. If they don't have the need for that money, they should send it back to government. Government will use it to employ the nurses and midwives and place them at the appropriate levels.
Because the point is,
government don't get the money. If we are prioritizing the healthcare and the health of the good people of this country, we should be able to employ how many? It's 20,000 nurses and midwives. government can employ them. Let me tell you that. Of course, there was a backlog of nurses and midwives right from 2012. Okay, especially the privately trained nurses and midwives. And this government released about 5 financial clearances in succession in 2020 to clear all the backlog. So let me give that to the government. But we needed to work to offset future backlogs. And that is what we are talking about right now. So since 2019, especially those who were referred in 2019 up to 2020, okay, we have not employed our people. And that is the problem. You understand? Those who were referred in 2019 who never got employed with their colleagues are there. All cadre of nurses and midwives who completed in 2020 have not been employed. All cadre of nurses and midwives who completed in 2021 have not been employed. These are the backlogs that we are talking about. And we are asking government to employ them. Nursing and midwifery are skill acquisition programs. And once you are not practicing for some time, you are likely to forget about it. And we need to be very careful because we want to raise the standard of care of nursing and midwifery so that everybody will be happy. Let me tell you something. There is research about, okay, that when a highly skilled nursing workforce is deployed, they have the propensity of reducing mortality and increasing the standards of nursing practice. And that is where we want to go. To me alone, the basic qualification of any nurse or any midwife in this country should be first degree. That is where we should inch towards. Because Nigeria here, I'm nurse.be, before you can call yourself as a registered nurse or a registered midwife, you should have a first degree. And that is the standard we want to set. Okay? They are coming to take care of human beings. My brother, they can deploy them to agric, of course. We are looking for people to rear chicken and rest of them. They can go and do that. Of course, there are 3 weeks training or whatever training that they intend to give them. Can, equip them enough to be able to rear a good poultry for us so that we don't even import poultry. Skilled personnel to man there. Don't forget that those people, they are human beings like you and I. And they have every right to equitable and safe healthcare. Okay, so they are human beings. Those who patronize the small clinics that you are talking about are human beings, and they need skilled personnel to take care of them. Don't let anybody deceive himself by thinking that the kind of work that goes on there is menial. No, it's not.
Well, so that's the position of the registered nurses. So let's bring in now Emmanuel Kwesi-Afriyie, who's head of corporate affairs for the Youth Employment Agency. At least we'll have an opportunity to understand the policy. Thanks, Kwesi, for your time here on The Pulse. Now, it appears that your initial plan was to recruit 5,000 nurses to at least do some simple bedside nursing works, but the professionals are saying that's below standard. Exactly what do you intend to do at the YEA?
I had a difficulty listening to the submission of my brother because of network issues. I couldn't hear anything at all. However, we have stated clearly, and I think they have a misplaced priority and a misplaced understanding of what the exact issues are, because they've raised these issues before and we have clearly given them answers. We agree and we reckon that the health service delivery is a very technical area that you can't mess up with. And of course, we'll duly acknowledge the work that they are doing towards the contribution of contributing to the health of Mother Ghana and everybody in here. So we acknowledge the work of doctors, we acknowledge the work of nurses, we acknowledge the work of midwives and so on and so forth. However, I'm not sure everybody can do every kind of job in whichever field they are. And we have a basis for what we are doing, which is greatly supported by the World Health Organization, it's supported by the African Union, and it's supported by the Parliament of Ghana, the Ministry of Health. In fact, we are doing this under the auspices of the Ghana Health Service. It'd be very surprising to believe or think that the Ghana Health Service, the Health Subcommittee of the Parliament of Ghana, and the Ministry of Health have not gone through all of these things that we are talking about and have not really thought about it. What we are doing is, first of all, to create employment for the young people, young men and women of Ghana. Secondly, to attend to primary health care delivery in preventable health care, and especially in the rural communities. We are not posting anybody to any big hospital like the Bank Hospital here in Accra. We are not posting anybody to, for example, the Tamale Regional Hospital or the Northern Regional Hospital in Tamale. We are posting them to the chief's compound. We are posting them not to act as nurses. We have been very explicit on this. Not to act as nurses, not to act as doctors, but to act as preventive health service officers. My brother, you would agree with me that we are in the rainy season, for example. Cholera usually comes out as an outbreak every rainy season here in Ghana. What do we do that we get cholera as an outbreak every rainy season here in Ghana? It is because of little practices that we have in our homes.
Yeah, but if you may, I mean, if you look
Right.
at the concerns from the group, they're saying the CHIPS compound actually formed the basic unit of our healthcare system. You don't want to dwell with that, particularly knowing how difficult it is for some in the rural communities to access some of the district facilities.
Where did we write that community health service providers are going to man the CHIP compounds? We haven't said that anywhere. We are not saying that they are going to be administrators of CHIP compounds. We have not said that they are going to administer injections to anybody. We have not said that they are even going to take temperatures of anybody. They are going to assist the professionals.
But there are a raft of measures, or I mean, some of the services they'll be able to provide, and that, for instance.
So, if I may,
you have a list of that. Yes, right.
If I may, and he understands that none of our recruited people are going to provide these services that are provided by professional health service providers. And that is what we are talking about. That, for example, pick a folder for me. If I'm a nurse and I'm attending to a patient, pick a folder for me. What kind of expertise do you need to pick a folder for someone? Attend to or educate people in their houses on the fact that you don't need to defecate anyhow so that we can prevent cholera outbreak. What kind of expertise do you need to be able to do that? These are young men and women we are taking out of these communities, very remote areas where you post midwives and they don't want to go, where you post doctors and they don't want to go, that we should be able to prevent, for example, outbreaks. When Corona came out, we needed people to go into houses to educate people on how to wash their hands, how to bath, how to do things when they come back from town. It's the public and these people that you will get into place. These are people with aspirations to become nurses. And they call them SHS leavers. We don't call them SHS leavers. They are graduates of SHS. Some of them don't have the requisite certification yet. Others have the requisite certification, but they don't have the funds to be able to apply and get to the nursing training
but Kwesi, you understand how sensitive this sector is. This is the health sector we're talking about.
We very much understand, yes.
Yeah,
we understand how sensitive the area is.
And I'm just interested in finding out, for instance, what level of training will be giving to such persons. Because, for instance, the nurses are urging their leadership and, in fact, all of their membership not to participate in any training activity for these SHS graduates. They then move ahead to talk about political expediency in this decision to recruit over 5,000 nurses. Or SHS graduates.
I am saying that let's not have misplaced priorities. There are different categories of people. We understand that the health profession is a very great technical area. And so these people are not going to give injections, my brother. These people are not going to operate on people. These people are not going to take temperatures of people. That is the work of the nurses. That is the work of the doctors.
Right.
These people are going to assist. And I was asking you, pick a scissors for me. Pick a folder for me. Pick a knife for me. How is it related to the technical administration of health? If you want to do that.
But what's
We are not going to do what these nurses and these doctors are doing. They should just get that straight. And they cite the reason of the fact that there are a lot of people in the backlog who have not been recruited yet. And so we ask them that because I have 2 masters, and I don't have employment yet, somebody who has a diploma certificate and is recruited or getting the opportunity to be recruited. We have different categories, we have different allowances, we have different technical areas, we have different expertise. Our government is going to attend to us. It's different in its entirety. Because I have the 2 masters and I don't have the employment, Everybody else should wait till I'm employed before. We are doing this program with the security services, Ghana Police Service.
Yeah.
They're telling that because Ghana Police Service hasn't had the clearance, financial clearance, to recruit the 100,000 people that they need to become police personnel, we shouldn't help the young and upcoming ones who can help us direct traffic control.
Yeah, but Kwesi, the other side of the argument is the other side of the argument is why not allow that budgetary space to the consolidated fund so we could bring in more nurses if it is indeed that you have identified some gaps in the system.
That's why I'm asking that. Is that the argument they are making? That because they haven't been recruited, everybody else, every other employment, whether it is within their category or not, and we have stated clearly that this is a different category. So everybody else in that category of the junior high school or the senior high school, that will have some kind of stipend or allowance and be able to continue their education and get into the same level as they are, should stop because they haven't been recruited. Is that it? That is not in fairness to nation building. That is not in fairness to resource allocation. President Akufo-Addo had said some time ago that we are in a year of road building. Are we saying that because we are in a year of roads and we haven't constructed every road in the country, we are not supposed to make any allocations to the Ghana Education Service, for example? We shouldn't attend to security issues, for example. We shouldn't attend to agri, for example. We should concentrate everything on roads. Is that how they are making the argument?
Kwesi, we've known the YEA of running a number of modules, but not in the health sector. What's
we have done health before,
this?
My brother. We have done community health worker program before, and this is always in.
Hello, Kwesi. It appears that we're having some challenges. Kwesi, if you're still there with me, I was just asking what's actually motivating this new approach. Your network appears to be bailing out.
If you can hear me, I'm still here with you.
Right, yes, if you could just make the point, yes.
Right. So I have explained to you that it is not a peculiar problem that we are coming out with or a peculiar program that we are just coming out with. It's a program that we have run before. It's a program, I think we have run it at least twice, if my memory can serve me right. And as you can see, I'm in a car. So if I had gotten to the document, I'll show them to you. But we have run this program successfully before. And we ran it with the Ghana Health Service, of which the GRNMA is part. We ran it with the Ministry of Health, of which the GRNMA subscribes to. This program emanates, and it's under the charter of the World Health Organization. It's under a charter subscribed to by the African Union. And they know that there are problems of universal health delivery in some countries where we have impoverished communities, and we need to make sure that people have access. How many doctors do we have? Even if the 10,000 backlog that he's talking about, even if we get recruitment for each and every one of them now, we will still have the deficiency. We will still not be able
but
to
you're
have
looking
the
for
universal
less in terms of the number. You're targeting 5,000, correct?
Yes, we are targeting 5,000.
Yeah, but that's not up to the backlog. So why not expand it? Why not do a proper targeting exercise so we could bring on board all of the 10,000?
So we are actually doing targeting through the deployment. Then we are working, as I said to you, with the Ghana Health Service, and they are now telling us, they are even doing the deployment, and they are pushing the people to where they think they would need their services and where they think their services will be relevant to the cost of health delivery here in Ghana. So everything is under the auspices of the Ghana Health Service. I'm surprised that our brothers and sisters will make the kind of arguments that they are making.
For instance, this may sound a bit far-fetched, but recently we saw even a student who went on TikTok to make some pronouncements. Even as a student, that created a lot of fear within the health system as people were, questioning the standards within the healthcare delivery sector. Now you're bringing on board SHS graduates. By the mention of the name alone, some persons may not want to go to the hospitals to seek medical care, particularly in rural communities. And the concern is
my brother, what I want
may
to
compound the problem. What would you say to such members of society who may begin to have some fears visiting the various CHIPS compounds?
Everybody should have enough confidence in the people that we are putting out, because they are coming and working according to the regulation and the authorization of the Ghana Health Service. We will be monitoring them like we have monitored every other beneficiary of the agency. We'll be working with them like we have done with every other beneficiary of the agency. We'll be checking their security backgrounds and everything. Apart from that, they are working under these GRNMA staff, the registered nurses and midwives. They are working under them. They are working under the doctors, so they have no right to do anything out of their own will or out of their own volition. But I want us to place it this way. We have drawn a very clear distinction between the work of the health professional and the work of the community health service provider. The community health service provider cannot give you an injection. It doesn't happen anywhere, and it has never happened before. Our documents and everything that we have discussed with the Ghana Health Service says they cannot give injection.
Yeah, but they can do record keeping, right? They can do record keeping, right?
They can do record keeping.
That's a very essential component of healthcare delivery, you agree. And in fact...
The record keeping...
Yeah. If I don't get the records right, how do I work on the patient, for instance? And
the record keeping...
Yes.
The record keeping is directly under the supervision of whichever health director is there, whether it's a nurse, whether it's the doctor, whether whoever is there, the record keeping is under their supervision. And we are also training them. We are not just deploying them.
Right.
We are training them from our end. We're having a training which is also led by the Ghana Health Service. So if it's a hospital record keeping, they are going to go through that before they are deployed.
Yeah, but in the end, look at the problem that may emerge. You deploy over 5,000 SHS graduates into the various CHIP compounds. They go there, meet the health officials who are mostly under the umbrella body of the GRNMA, and then they're now ordering their people not to collaborate with these persons. You see the problem there?
So it will be, if they decide to have a standoff, that's when there will be a problem. But as I have stated
but that may happen, you agree? That may happen, you agree?
If I can learn.
Yeah, right.
I have stated to you time and again, and I'll keep stating it, that we are under the auspices. We are working on this program under the auspices of the Ministry of Health, under the auspices of the Ghana Health Service. I'm actually to have a meeting with Dr. Patrick Kumar-Boaji this evening. Are they telling us that a program championed and instituted in collaboration with the Ghana Health Service and the director of Ghana Health Service has signed on to, the GRNME says because they haven't been recruited, they are not going to work with us? Is that the case? And is it the case, as I have stated to you early on, that because I have a PhD and I don't have a job yet, or I am set to be recruited and somebody has been recruited, I'm not going to work with the person? Is that the position everybody should take in the country? And is that the position they are taking? That because others, or they don't have the opportunity yet, nobody in the country should have the opportunity to work? When they have different categories, when they have different sets of payments, when they have different arrangements altogether, and they are supposed to supervise them and train them so that they get the opportunity to go to school and become like them, because they don't have what they want yet, everybody should cease in growing. Is that the question or the point they are making to us? If that's the point, then we can have a further discussion to that point. But if that's not the point, then they are with the Ghana Health Service. We have collaborated with them a number of times on different programs, on different activities. We are surprised, very much surprised, that they will go on this tangent at this very crucial time.
Finally, the modalities for recruiting these people. Have you started the recruitment? What will be the modalities and how do you intend to deploy them? Because 5,000 is not even enough in covering all the CHIPS compound. You agree?
Yes, I agree with you. And of course, there is a potential to expand the program. And we're always talking to partners locally, the corporate world, development partners, and everybody to come on board. I mean, issues of this nature, like you said, issues of health are very pertinent to the country and to everybody. What we do with the recruitment is that, we have started already. For purposes of transparency and accountability, recruitment is online. Everything is online. So you go onto our website, there is a portal that you can click on and go on with your application. If you have any challenge at all, Youth Employment Agency, we have offices across the country, every district, every municipality, every metropolitan assembly. When you get into our office, you would have our men and staff helping you out to do your registration, which will still be online anyway. So it's very transparent, it's very accountable. You can go online now.
Yeah, I was asking about the modalities because people would want to know what qualifications you'd be working with.
Like they have called them SHS graduates. We call them SHS graduates. They say SHS leavers, but we take it like that. People that have completed senior high school and are willing, have the passion to get into the health profession. We are welcoming everybody. We think that when we are able to train them this way, they get to observe the registered nurses, doctors, and midwives over the next 2 years, and they get into school. They will have hands-on experience. They will be well-versed enough to get the requisite education and the requisite qualification as early as possible, come back and help the whole society. This is our aim and this is our intention, whilst we create employment as well.
And I thought that would have been the last one, but of course the concern by the nurses groups claiming that some 10,000 in terms of backlog just gives us a hint of how, bad the situation is in terms of our unemployment here in the country. Going forward as YEA, what do you intend to do to fulfill your mandate as well?
We intend to champion the agenda of the President, His Excellency Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo, to become the fulcrum and the pivot of his 1 billion jobs agenda. So if you look at the last 4 years, we've introduced a number of programs. Some we call exit strategies. We have the YEE Job Center, which is a platform that has a collaboration with the private sector so that we don't become a public sector oriented organization only. People can go online, graduates everywhere can go online, and we are connecting with companies from the private sector to load up their vacancies. So far, we've gotten a number of jobs, permanent jobs through that. We have the regional flagship programs, which is primarily agri-based. So we are doing farms, we're doing aquaculture, for example, in the Volta region. We are doing a maize farm in Wenchi, where we are training the youth in modernized and mechanized ways of farms, and then acquiring lands for them so that they can become self-sufficient. We have a program like the Artisan Directory, where we are getting people enrolled onto a platform like an Uber. So, for example, if there is a plumber, there is a fashion designer who we train, and those we haven't trained, but we help to get certification. We put all of them on a single platform so that as you are in the studio working now, you have a problem with your plumbing in the house, you can just get online, look for a plumber in your area, and then get the person connected to go and work. You pay online, and then it's off your head. You still can be at work and get this done. We have the Work Abroad program, and then the traditional modules as well, the community health worker program, which we are bringing on board currently. We are going to revive the community police program. We are talking to development partners, and especially we have begun conversations with the private sector corporate giants to look at their corporate social responsibility, how we can collaborate and create jobs. Everything is about creation of jobs for the young people of Ghana. We are getting into entrepreneurship as well. We've had several collaborations with NEIP, which will be rolling out very soon. You'll see, we have done some already. We have a fashion center in the Ashanti region, Kumasi to be precise, where we have already trained about 600 people in fashion designing. We are setting them up. Immediately we're able to fully set them up, would set another people or another batch in place. So there are lots that we are doing. When you have time, I'm sure when you give us invitation,
definitely
we'll come with pictures and videos, and we'll talk about all of this.
We'll find time to do that. So final date for the deployment of nurses, when are we expecting them in the hospitals?
So training, we will close the portal by the end of next week. And what we do, training will begin in a week. When that is done, that should happen in a month. Training should happen in a month. So by and large, within the next 1.5 months, we should expect them to be rolling them out.
I'm grateful, and we'll definitely connect by then. I'm grateful, Kwesi, for your time here on The Pulse. Well, government is hoping to halt the depreciation of the Ghana cedi with the injection of some foreign exchange into the economy. The currency is still losing grounds against the international trading currencies, despite the Bank of Ghana's measures to address the free fall of the cedi. Currently, 10 cedis is equal to $1. Members of the Ghana Union Trades Association on Monday warned that they will close their shops in the country, in the coming days, as they demand urgent measures from government to deal with the issue surrounding the cedi.
Deeply saddened by the degree of signs of depression on the faces of all members of the trading community I see here this morning. I hope the government will swiftly and decisively act to salvage our plight for the better. As a trustee and manager of our national resources and the economy at that. No doubt, we all know that at this moment in time, we have serious difficulties as a nation. We are also not oblivious of the fact that there are global challenges with regard to the COVID-19 pandemic as well as the Russia and Ukraine war, which Ghana is no exception in this global phenomenon. One thing we need to clarify, we need to clearly understand is that issues regarding the pandemic have become a new normal worldwide.
And that was the demand from the Ghana Union of Traders Association. Well, government appears to have responded to the concerns of the group, saying it will inject some $2 billion dollars actually into the economy soon. Well, Information Minister Kojo Nkrumah indicated that about some $750 million is expected from the Afrexim Bank, which will hit the accounts of the Bank of Ghana this week, whilst that of the cocoa syndicated loan will be added on, which is amounting to some $1.3 billion dollars into the economy. Let's just bring you a sense of what he indicated on your screens right now. We'll bring that to you shortly, but first of all, let's bring in Kofi Ajay, who is with our research desk. Kofi, help us with the disclosure we are getting from the Information Minister. How crucial will these amounts be in terms of stabilizing the cedi?
Well, all has to do with our foreign reserve, which is currently around $7.7 billion. So last year around this same time, we had reserves worth $11.4 billion US dollars, which declined to $9.8 billion somewhere in January 2022 this year. Then in July, this had dwindled down from the 9.8 billion I'm talking about to now 7.7 billion. And if you look at the current data, it is still depleting. But we are learning that we will be getting some 750 million US dollars as foreign inflows from one syndicated loan from a group of banks, the Afrexim Bank. And then also we are expecting 1.5 billion US dollars from the cocoa syndicated loan. If you add this to, this should give us around 2.25 billion US dollars. And if you add that to our current reserve of 7.7 billion, we will move to now 9.95 billion US dollars. And this may push our reserves from 3.4 months of import cover to some 4.2 months of import cover, depending on the prevailing demand and supply forces.
So how vibrant is our foreign reserve right now?
Well, it's not as vibrant as we started the year. So we started the year with import cover of somewhere around 4 months of import cover. Now this has depleted to 3.3 months of import cover. And some experts say it is even somewhere around 2 or 1.4 months of import cover. But the data we have, which is as of July 2022, we still are hovering around 3.4 months of import cover. This simply means that as a country, we do not print dollars. But if you look at the amount of dollars we have in our coffers as a country, this can afford us some 3 months of import cover. If holding other things constant, we are not getting any further foreign exchange or inflows. But if you also look at what this is linked to, which is a depreciation of the cedi, looking at the historical data, this is a time that the cedi should actually be plateauing when it comes to depreciation. So from the first short peak around April, June, this should be plateauing around this time, compared to the major one that we usually see around November and December. So last year around this same time, the cedi had lost just 1.6% of its value to the dollar. And if you value it in monetary terms, it should be around, it wasn't even up to 1 peso. And if you compare this same time last year to this year, the cedi, looking at the current average market value of the cedi in a span of 8 months, it has actually lost more than 40 times the value it lost last year. And if we should do some, forecast, if the cedi is losing, this amount of its value, which translates into about 50 pesos a month. And so if you look at the whole year, there should be somewhere around 6 cedis a year. So holding other things constant, if the measures Bank of Ghana puts in place, we don't see it working there, we should see $1 is to some 12 cedis by the end of December.
How about the injection of the $2 billion?
The injection of the $2 billion will only go a long way to affect our foreign reserve. And when you have foreign reserve, that's when you can actually, give out dollars to the BDCs, those who are bringing pharmaceuticals, to actually also have that space to operate in terms of importation. But we are, gearing towards December, and then the demand on the dollar is actually going to increase. But it's also going to depend on the rate of suction or the absorption or the amount of supply force that we have in the system and the demand as well. That will pull this 2 billion. It could be that this 2 billion will come in the system, but the rate at which the businesses in the system will absorb this could be high to the extent that to send us back to the 7.1 or 7.7 billion dollars of reserve that we have at the moment.
Isaac, thank you. Courage Mate is an economist joining us now via Zoom. Courage, here we are. Government seeking to bank its hopes on the syndicated loan and the receipts that may be arriving by today, latest tomorrow. Would that really spare, some confidence in the cedi and make the figures begin to look good for us?
Well, good afternoon. Thanks for having me, Blessed. If you look at the trajectory or the flow, the size of the flows that will be coming in against the size of the demand on the market, you will say that one of the downsides to how the flows will be coming is that they will be staggered, they will be tranched. And so even that $750 million, if they are to come, I don't think they will come in full. And even the cocoa syndicated loan, if they were coming, when they start to come from October, they will also be coming in tranches. And that could make demand continue to overwhelm supply. But overall, putting it in totality, that should add up to $2 billion. And holding the current levels constant, we should be hovering around $9 billion to $10 billion by the time these flows come in. Ordinarily, they should be enough to reduce the pace of depreciation. And we are hopeful that this should be some sufficient support for the cedi, but this is for the supply side. We should also not lose sight of the fact that the central bank has announced some aggressive measures, not just the policy rate hike, but also they are tightening the cash reserve requirement for commercial banks, which should drain significant amounts of cedi from the market. And the implementation period would actually span the period in which we would expect the cocoa syndicated loan to be coming through. So whilst the supply side is being supported by the cocoa syndicated flows, the demand will be anchored by the tightening of cedi liquidity. And this should help to slow down the pace of depreciation. And
of course, government, I wish we could just bring you the words of the information minister on the screens right now, but we know that he is in fact urging people to begin selling their cedi. It's part of the confidence from the side of government in terms of how they believe all of this foreign exchange will help to boost the value of the Ghana cedi. You disagree with the minister on that?
Well, I'll come to that a bit. But one point we need to also emphasize is that beyond the domestic challenges we have, right, and which are impacting the local currency, and these are the main issues impacting the local currency, I must stress. But we should also not forget that there are external factors also hitting the currency hard. Now, I was just looking at the dollar index, and currently the dollar index is at over 108 points. Now, the dollar index is just a raw number that we use to track the strength of the dollar or the performance of the dollar against global currencies. At the start of this year, the dollar index was at around 96 points. Currently, it's risen by almost 13% year to date to over 108 points. That tells you that the dollar has strengthened against currencies globally. And at 108 points, this is the highest level since 2002. So we've not seen this level of the dollar index.
Yeah, I mean, that fact has been established.
This is largely coming from...
That fact has been established, right?
Exactly. So we need to also emphasize the fact that we might be talking a lot about the domestic factors driving the cedi down, but let's not lose sight of the fact that rising interest rates, rising dollar strength also will continue to detract from the cedi.
We know that the BOG measures, for instance, will take off and begin. We're expecting that the effects may come into some fruition in the coming months. But I was just pointing to the confidence on the side of government's monetary policy as well, and I wanted to take your thoughts on that.
Well, so until you have a strong signal that the market believes in, it is not one that you want to be very confident that there would be correction in the value of the local currency. Now, the general feeling is that the depreciation has overshot its long-run trend. We agree with that. Essentially, what it means is that if you get some strong buffers coming in and the market believes that they are strong enough, we will start to see those who are holding dollars offloading their dollars, and then that should cause some correction in the value of the cedi. Hence, the minister making that comment. But then until the market sees that assurance on the reserves side, it's difficult to envisage that situation right now.
What's your outlook?
Well, the outlook is that we still are bearish on the local currency. We are bullish that these $2 billion coming in would do something to support the cedi. The cedi. But currently, we are bearish on the cedi because it hasn't come in yet. And even though there are promises that it will come in, we know how long the Treasury syndicated loan has taken. We know that it is not fully cleared yet. And even when all these are cleared, they will come in tranches. And so we don't want to get ourselves ahead of ourselves currently, and we still remain cautious on the cedi until we see some strong inflows coming in. And also not losing sight of the fact that there is the bigger picture of an IMF program, which is taking time for negotiation to start. That's also another angle to the whole discussion.
And you feel that will complement it or otherwise, the IMF program?
Well, the longer it takes for us to get positive news from that side filtering into the markets, the more it will weigh on the local currency, and so we want to see something positive. If we get positive news from that side, it will make significant positive.
At least indications from the experts, the first quarter of next year, least, right?
That would be good news if we get the program up and running by the first quarter of next year. That will be running. Beyond that point, it's not going to look good at all. Courage
Martin, thank you for joining us here on The Pulse. We'll take a short break here. When we return, we'll talk about some more issues, including the hike in tariffs. Please stay. Welcome back to The Pulse. Now, the Executive Secretary of the Public Utilities Regulatory Commission, Dr. Ishmael Aka, has responded to criticisms that his outfit did not consider the plight of Ghanaians when it released the upward adjustments on tariffs. Now, in spite of the soaring inflation and general economic meltdown, the PURC pegged its new utility tariffs at some 27.15% for electricity and 21.55% for water. And we do know that that's triggering a lot of response from the general public. However, commenting on the matter, the PURC says it was mindful of the economic conditions of Ghanaians. Well, the Executive Secretary of PURC, Dr. Ishmael Aka, says that enough measures were taken into consideration by reducing the burden of this new tariff adjustment on Ghanaians.
I may need to check the figures because this is for Ghana Water, for ECG, for other GRICO,
okay.
For NELCO, yes.
Okay, and then the loans bit you were talking about?
Yes, so government took some loans some time ago, some about 10 years ago, and on-lend these loans to the utilities. So government can take or attempt pay for a project. Now in 2015, 2016, there was this cabinet decision that the utilities should start paying back those loans. So when you look at Ghana Water's proposal, they had about 600 million cedis in the proposal as payment to government as part of paying back those on-lend loans. So again, we engage government that these are loans you took. You are paying, and government is paying those loans anyway. And this is a policy. And because of that, they added this 600 million to the proposal. If they pay you, this is the implication on the tariff. If you decide to forego, at least for the next 3 years, this will be the implication. Government says, okay, already I'm paying for it, so I want to forego that. Now you see, you've already taken the return on equity out. You take the on-land loan out. You see that the number for, say, Ghana Water or ECG has already reduced. So these were the exercises, unpacking the proposals and taking item by item, looking at the policy issues with government and those we should deal with when it comes to the utility. Let me also add that doing all these things when it comes to the operations, like maintenance, operations, and human resource, we gave it to them so that the utilities can continue to operate.
So you mean what they asked for human resource purposes and operations purposes, you didn't touch?
We did our audits, and when we did arm's length analysis to see that if you say that you're going to maintenance will cost A, it's a similar utility in Cote d'Ivoire, similar utility in a similar country, the same size, same meters. How much are they going to spend next year on maintenance? We did all those things, and when we were satisfied, we also looked at their own trend analysis, inflation-adjusted trend analysis over the past 10 years. That how much have you been spending on maintenance for you to ask for this in for the next 3 years? So after satisfying ourselves, mostly we approved most of the operational budget so that at least they can remain stable. But for the capital budget, that is where we did this aggregation and took some of the things out.
So operations, we know Ghana Water Company, Electricity Company of Ghana would need investment.
Yes.
Heavy investment going forward.
Yeah.
Did this factor that in?
Yes, so they also submitted more like projects they want to invest in. True, they did. So again, we did two things. One of them was that we invited them to justify, we call it the formal hearing process. You justify each investment. One, the cost, how that investment is going to help you meet our benchmarks in terms of reducing losses, in terms of improving reliability, in terms of satisfying the customer, and how that investment is going to help overall in your performance, improve your performance. So we did that. Then we worked with the utilities to scale this down to the critical investment. And let me also add that, initially we were looking at 5 years. This major tariff review should have been for 5 years.
Well, let's get some more reactions on this. Kofi Kapito is CEO for the Consumer Protection Agency. Thank you so much, sir, for your time. So PRC there indicating that they were mindful of consumers and the times in which we find ourselves, the economic meltdown, and that's why we're having the figures even at 27 for electricity and 21% for water. That's a good justification, isn't it?
Let me say good afternoon to you and your listeners. Yes, I agree to the fact that they were mindful to the percentage of the 27 and the 21. But the issue is he talked about other things. He talked about their new projects. I don't think it's fair for a consumer to pay in advance a company's project. The ideal situation is the company should go and get an investment, come and input it, improve the service delivery, and then say that, because I've done A, B, C, D to improve the service delivery, so the cost of selling my product is going to go up. But for you to come to your customer and tell him that pre-finance me, when you pre-finance me, then I'll come back and charge you for a higher rate, I don't think it was fair.
But he says the process has been delayed for well over 5 years. So it goes without saying that it's been a delayed adjustment.
Yeah, but the funny thing is people's salaries too has been delayed for some time. But we are also not saying that because of that, government should give us what we want. All I'm saying is I agree. Yes, 21 or 27% is better than 148 and 300%. But what we are saying as consumers is, yes, we agree that we need some increase here and there. But some of the justification is where I have a challenge with. Look, what residential users used to need is what is called a flat rate. Now it is being segregated. When you go from 0 to 150, it's a different price. If you go from 151 to 300, it's a different price. When you go from 301 to 600, all these things should be removed so that when I consume more as a consumer, if the flat rate is 1 cedi per gigawatt, that is what everybody pays. Then I will be able to say that because I want to consume less, I will conserve. But this segregation thing, first, I don't agree with. Number two, I don't think it is the consumer's business to pre-finance any business in Ghana. Let me use multimedia for an example.
All right,
I'm sure my brother, Kwesi, did not go to people who are coming to do commercial at both networks that give me money in advance before I can set up my radio or my TV station. He did that and he says, this is my rate. So that's what we expect the utilities to do. If they need to go to the bond market or anywhere to go and borrow money, then after that, Ghanaians want what is called uninterrupted 24/7 supply of electricity and water.
But you agree that over the years, we've not been paying realistic tariffs. Is that a good argument to make?
When they say realistic, what is realistic? That's the question I asked them. I mean, if the salary of the Ghanaian is what can afford him to pay what we've been paying for all these years, why are you blaming us? Are you getting my point?
Right.
If you go to the and you go and buy tomatoes and you don't know how to price your own tomatoes and you sell it and I go and make soup with the tomatoes, why are you coming to tell me that? Why am I enjoying my soup? I don't think it's fair. All this thing about it's been delayed. It's been delayed by who? It hasn't been delayed by the consumer, the end user. It's been delayed by the players that were supposed to do what they should have done 10 years ago. So why are the consumers being blamed? All I'm saying is, yes, the PRC did a good job. There's no two ways about it. Coming from 148 to 27, and then from 400 to from 300 to 21 is a good job. But I see one company that is very, very unfair to consumers in Ghana is Ghana Water. Ghana Water is not giving us water. So why are they telling us that because of their own inefficiencies? People report about a pipe burst, leakages, and they don't care. Look, any company that is stressed for money should cut a lot of unnecessary expenses out fresh. Okay, you don't put your luxury expenses on your customer when you know your business is going down. You don't do that. And this is why we are saying that, yes, we agree with QRC. They did a good job by saying that, not 148, not 300, but 27.1, and then 21. When you compare it to, and then especially the issue about they gave the SMEs a lower tariff. I agree with them. But the question is, you and I know that there's no tailor, there's no barber, there's no hairdresser who would tell you and I that because the utilities have been reduced for them, they are going to pass it on to you, the end user, the consumer.
So you feel it's of no use anyway?
It's of, I'm not saying it's of no use. But the question is, how is the consumer going to benefit? That is a question we need to ask.
Right. In recent days, I mean, we've seen some groups already calling the president to try and further cut down the figures or perhaps suspend the announcement on the 27% and 21% respectively. We understand that in the coming days, a petition will be on the table of the president to deal with the matter. But from your position as the Consumer Protection Agency, would it be appropriate for government to, at least looking at the times in which we find ourselves, to suspend the implementation of the tariffs?
When government suspends it or when anybody intervenes, that is what caused the delay. As he was talking about, it hasn't been done in 10 years. I don't want any government suspension. The question is, yes, the 27% to me is not the best, but it is ideal for now. But the question is, there are other challenges facing the consumer, which is salary that would afford him to pay. Yeah, the consumer also has the right to do what is called conservation. But the question is, how much are you going to conserve? Even God, when he was creating the world, and he knew how important light was, he didn't say, let there be water. He said, let there be light. So light is very, 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 very important. In all spheres of life, you know, your day-to-day affair, businesses, everybody uses electricity.
So what you mean to say is that we should not be looking at a government intervention at this moment?
Like he said already, and you also repeated it, the delay. I don't want any more delays. If this is what is going to get us out of the situation, I don't have a problem. My biggest problem is the other concerns that I'm raising. That should be looked at by the PRC and government is what is important to me.
If we look at the fixed rate, it may come with some problems, for instance, because we're in a sub-region, others are adopting so many measures in dealing with tariffs. You want that flat rate, and the problem is going forward and looking at our projections, that may not be sustainable, right?
What will not be sustainable? Based on my consumption and based on what I need and demand is when you go to give me the electricity.
Yeah, but Mr. Kapito, the factors of production may vary in the coming days.
No, I agree with you. But the question that as you and I are speaking, I'm advocating that, yes, I don't like the fact that as a residential user, we are being discriminated against based on how much you use or based on your consumption. The industries or whatever were given a flat rate. So why can't we also have a flat rate? I mean, do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Industries were given a flat rate. SMEs were given a flat rate. How come the consumer or the residential user is not given a flat rate?
At least we know that a mini window may present itself to the PURC. What's your expectation of them?
Well, I'm hoping that it will come and I'll have opportunity to also advance some of the things that I'm telling you. I'm not against anybody's effort. They did a wonderful job. Like I know because the Consumer Protection Agency has a rep on the PRC board, and I know what work they put in and everything. But the question is, there are other issues that we should look at that would make the residential user also more capable, number one, not to do illegal connections, not to do bypass, and then be able to pay their bills on time. That is very, very important. But the question is, there's something called ability to pay. If I'm not able to pay, what do I do?
We'll see what then will happen in that next window. I'm grateful for your time. Kofi Kapito, who's Chief Executive for the Consumer Protection Agency.
Thank you.
The Education Minister, Dr. Yaosei Duchum, is actually pledging government support for mission schools across the country, drawing on his personal experience with the Church of Pentecost in helping him to establish some more schools in the United States of America. The sector minister says measures will be taken to support more mission schools across the country. The Education Minister also indicated that there are some 32 STEM senior high schools which are yet to be completed.
Today I come, and this is home, I come first of all to thank them for the support that they provided me as an immigrant in America, making it possible for me to build schools in America. And beyond that, supporting me in my adventure in politics in Ghana. I count them as my backbone. And every support I need, I get it physically and spiritually. So I'm grateful to the church. But I also believe that I need to hear the perspectives of churches in Ghana. A number of times, some of them will pay courtesy call on me, but I believe I need to go to them. So this begins my adventure of what I call a listening tour, where I'm going to go to church leaders in their own premises and headquarters and ask them what they think about the job I'm doing and how I can do a better job, and also see how I can support them so their mission schools can succeed and provide the support, even in a better way, to serve this nation called Ghana. Many things are happening in the education space, and I have the wonderful opportunity of briefing them. The STEM high schools built across the country, the fact that we have 7 colleges Our technical colleges under construction, almost 7 polytechnics under construction throughout Ghana as I speak with you. We have 32 STEM high schools about to be built. 10 of them will be started this year. We have STEM high school that we are operationalizing. There's a major transformation in education, so I spend my time looking at challenges that we face, how we solve them, but that is just 20% of my time. The other 80% is how we can truly change the education system to make it fit for purpose so that we can truly use education to transform the fortunes of this country. So today is a beginning of my dialogue with churches and with Muslim community and other religious persuasions as to how they can support me to deliver on the mandate of President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, the man who wants education to be transformed so badly and has given me the space and the opportunity and the resources to champion his agenda of education transformation for socio-economic transformation. So church leadership, I'm grateful for the warm, very, very warm welcome. And I'm grateful that you gave me some pieces of advice, which I'm going to champion to make sure that the Ghanaian education space will be better than what I came to find.
And in less than 24 hours, the much anticipated event is about to unfold. It's the EcoBank JoyNews Habitat Fair, which will kick off at the Accra International Conference Center from Wednesday, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. daily. One of the exhibitors and one of Ghana's top real estate companies, Gold Key Properties Limited, says its new project, which will be at the Chado, Jowlu and Cantonment areas, will give homeowners real comfort and luxury. One of its completed projects is the Cantonment City, which hosts, actually boasts of an apartment office like the PwC Tower and obviously some other buildings in the area. Maxwell Agbagba has been following up on that and has come through with his report.
The countdown to the 13th edition of the EcoBank JoyNews Habitat Fair is on. Remember that event is taking place from the 24th to the 28th August on the theme Home Ownership, Where You Live Matters. Today we are at the premises of Gold Key Properties Limited. And I have here with me Satar. Is it Satar?
Yes,
okay.
Satar.
Satar,
yes.
Okay, yeah.
So Cantonment City Apartments is one of the residential blocks we have within our Cantonment City, which is a mixed-use development that Gold Key has embarked on. So Cantonment City is an enclave where we hope people can live, work, play, shop, and do everything that they're supposed to do. So to my left here, you see PwC Tower, which is an office complex that houses PricewaterhouseCoopers and then other tenants in it. In the enclave, we also have EY building as the space for Ernst & Young, and then we also have Huawei building and Vivo building. So we have commercial properties within the enclave, and we are having residential properties as well. And this is the maiden residential block that we've put up already. We are also putting up the Cantonment City Tower, which is just across the street, but then we still have units in there for sale as well. And then we are going to add on to the enclave a multi-story car park and then a retail shopping center as well.
For here, is it for permanent stay or temporary stay?
Okay, so we have people who have bought units here and they live in them. We also have people who have bought for investment purposes. So for those who have bought for investment purposes, we manage it on their behalf where we get them tenants and then they earn rental income. So for now, we just have a few units here for rent, and then if anyone is looking for a furnished 1-bedroom or 2-bedroom for rent, they should come to Cantonment City.
Okay, so let's say I've traveled from outside Ghana, I need a place to stay for like 1 month, 2 months, 3 months. I can come here. Do you have space?
Yes, so you can actually call on us. So what we do is we offer both the short let and then the long tail rentals. The short lets will be available. It's dependent on availability. So if you come and then we have space to accommodate you for a short period, of course we would accommodate you.
And you have a couple of new developments, coming up. You want to tell us more?
Yes. So as I mentioned earlier on, Cantonment City Tower is the latest project that we've started. But then we've set our sites also on areas like Chado, where we are going to have apartments and townhouses coming up, and Jowlu as well. So
we should look out for Jowlu,
Chado. Yes, and still in the cantonment enclave as well.
Okay, we're going to have buildings from Gold Key Properties coming up, Chado,
yes,
Jolu.
Yes,
okay,
please.
So I mean for Chado and Jolu, if I want to, can people, I know we are yet to start those developments, but can people start, can they start?
So what I would actually say is the best time to buy a property is to buy it off plan. Because properties sold off plan are discounted.
Okay.
Because it's like you're having faith in us that you haven't seen what we've put up, but you want to buy from us.
Okay.
So obviously I'll sell it to you at a lower price than someone who comes to see a building that has been put up and then wants to choose a unit to buy.
Yeah.
So yes, people should visit our booth at the fair, give us their contact details, and once drawings and plans and prices are ready for these new developments, we'll contact them for them to make their pick.
Okay.
And then they would enjoy the off-plan discount.
But you've been taking part in the Habitat Fair for some time now. What feedback would you give?
It's been great, I would say. That's why we are coming on board again. Okay. So it's been a great experience where you get to engage with people who are looking to buy, people who actually need advice on where to start from on their real estate journey. Yeah. So it's been great. It's been great so far. Yes.
Okay, great. Thanks so much, for talking to us.
Yes.
Sata.
Thank you, Maxwell, for having us.
Great.
Thank you.
And thanks for staying with us here on The Pulse. We'll be back shortly. And you're welcome back to The Pulse. Well, I've got news for you on Saturday, the 27th, and on Sunday, the 28th of August, at 4 p.m. and 8 p.m. each night, to the National Theatre of Ghana, in partnership with Joy Prime and Image Bureau, brings you a rare, dramatic piece, Ayiyi. Well, for those of you who do not speak ever, it's Spider. So, well, let me tell you about the brains behind this new piece that you're about to watch. And joining me in studio now is William Eshong, Programs Manager at the National Theatre. William, it's good to see you.
Good to see you.
A lot of people do not know that, in fact, the rare stories we hear of, when we're growing up about Ayiyi.
Yeah.
So tell us about this one. Will it be the same as what we used to hear in the past, or you're giving a new twist to it?
All right, so like you said, Ayiyi means what? Spider.
Yeah.
We all know when you come to Ghana, there's a folktale where almost all the ethnic groups talk about the spider.
The spider.
Who is the spider? So we are giving a different twist, a totally different twist to it. So this time around, you're going to see, we are adapting the story of the spider, but we are using it differently through the use of music, drama, and dance. So you see orchestra music in there, you see our folktale music in there, you see some dances, both contemporary and traditional dances in there, to depict Ghana. So the story actually is about telling the story of Ghana.
Oh, you're projecting
Ghana.
So at least he is doing something positive now.
Both positive and negative.
At the same time, right?
Yeah. He's always like that. He's cunning, he's smart, he's wise, all of those things in there. So more or less, I would say we'll see a representation of ourselves in there. You see yourself in there, I'll see myself in there. By the end of the day, this spider or legendary spider is going to tell the story about Ghana.
I like the character already, but is this going to be a full Ghanaian production, or you're doing some adaptation?
It's a full Ghanaian production, totally 100% Ghanaian. So we'll see, we represent the regions, various regions in Ghana, almost all the 16 regions in Ghana, telling us about, you remember when we were kids, when you go to a funeral or you go to a wedding ceremony or something, there are certain things that we as Ghanaians, we do in there. We are going to see a lot of these things in there. So that's why I said you find yourself in that story in there.
Who is this open to, and who are you expecting at this very program?
Okay, it's open to the general public, anybody. Even children, it's good for children as well. They could also see to relate to it and see themselves in there, know what they are doing and how things go on in Ghana. So, it's open to the general public, from children to adults, anybody at all.
And we know that the three wings of theatre are joining in this. Is this the first time you're set to see this happen?
No, this is not the first time the National Theatre is doing something like that, where we have the National Symphony Orchestra, the National Drama Company, and the National Dance Company in there. So we've done several productions using all these three resident groups. So in this case, we call it total theatre. When you have all three wings of performing arts, music, dance, and drama in there, it's a total theatre production. So, this is not the first time. This is not going to be the last time.
Yeah, obviously. And there are some of us watching at home wondering, well, why should I come and just watch a story about the spider? What would you say to that?
You have to come and watch the story about the spider. because if you learn some lessons in there, you're going to see yourself in there. I mean, there are certain things we all do that we need to change at some point in time. So when you watch it and you see, you identify yourself there, you go like, oh wow, so this is what I do. Then I mean, you can have some reform. At the end of the day, theater is for reform. It's to renew our minds from certain things that we could not be aware of or we are not aware of. So basically, that's the reason why everybody should come and see this production.
Let's talk about the tickets and where, of course, you can get them.
Okay, so the ticket is going for a cool 80 Ghana cedis, and then you can get a ticket at the National Theatre, of course, Joy FM, Kuala, Frankie's, and then also Airport Shell. And you can also dial *365
Yeah,
star
I was about asking about the digital.
*10#.
So let's take that again.
*365 star 999 *10#.
Once more.
*365 star 999 *10#. And you get your ticket.
Indeed. But personally, I've always wanted to ask this question about theatre arts and why we don't seem to be getting a lot of support for it in the country. Is it also of concern to you?
It is, but blessing. I think there should be a discussion.
A discussion one other day, obviously.
We start now, we're not going to end.
We're not going to end.
It's always been a discussion.
But I think this will be one of the best platforms for Ghanaians to just come out and support the
I mean,
event.
we've always been performing.
Right.
I mean, it's high time we Ghanaians, we promote our own. We should be original.
This is authentic Ghanaian content.
Culture. Yeah. 100% authentic.
Indeed. And we'll all be there to support you. But thank you so much for joining us here on The Pulse. And of course, there's a need for us to also focus on some of the developments elsewhere. The International Day for the Remembrance of the Slave Trade and its abolition is a UNESCO designated day held annually on August 23 to commemorate the transatlantic slave trade. It also sets the stage for an examination and discussion of the interactions that gave rise to transatlantic human trafficking between Africa, Europe, and the Americas, and the Caribbean as well in the world. And of course, as we commemorate this important day, which aims to inscribe the tragedy of slave trade in the collective consequences of all people, so we take you to the Kunsu slave camp, a community in the Bono East region that served as a slave market. There's more in this report.
The Kunsu slave camp served as a center of slave trade several centuries ago in the then Gold Coast. Noted for its rich but unharnessed ecotourism potentials, the community had a market center and a depot where these slaves are kept. As we mark the International Day for the remembrance of the slave trade and its abolishment, we visited the Kunsu slave camp to tell the story of how and where slaves en route to the coast are purchased before they get to their various destinations. Faka Sakode is a resident and a tour guide here at the Kunsu slave camp.
My name is Faka Sakode, a citizen of Kunsu, and I'm the tour guide here.
This rocky cave here, also referred to as the executive lounge, served as a home and a resting point for traders who visit the Kunsu slave market to buy slaves.
Where we are now, that is where the executives have been lodging. We have a security there, we have a security lounge, we have a place where they fetch their water. So when they buy the slaves, after which those that are not able to send, they bring them to the second phase where we'll be moving to. And when they come there, the executives, they will also come and lodge here.
This is the market center where the slave trade takes place, and slaves from the northern part of the country end up here through Salaga and Yeji before they continue to other parts of the country and beyond.
Kunsu was one of the most important slave trade markets from northern sector up to the middle of Ghana. During the time of Samori and Babetu, they were the leaders, those who were dealing in slave trade from northern sector of Timbuktu, Bamako. They stop here and they convey the slave to the coast.
The slave camp, also referred to as a slave depot, is a strategic spot where these slaves are kept due to its secured nature. It has an entrance and a tight security to ensure that these slaves do not escape from their masters.
Where we are now, we are in a slave camp. In the Hana, ye campo or moi, yakwa nkwa ya to moi, ye do mo ba bi twa kwan afiri ha akọ mpoano na fi ye de mfidi a friend ship afọ mo akọ aburuchi no aha na ye de o mbegu ni ayanto no ye de o mo san kodwanum ni akọ akoto mo ni a ye beto no nzo so o eduru ho se ye de o mo kwa ya ba bi yi o mo afiri ha na ye de o mo ko.
The people here are, however, worried at the fact that despite the significant role played by the community so far as the slave trade is concerned, little is being done to help transform the camp as well as improve the living standards of the people.
Mpenimfo atitiru pa baha abrofo firi amanone behwe kwa yebekwa akosere no ma beboa nanso so enkoso nti yawa midi ni se yentimi ensiesi ha ema no nkwa animu ema no nyenhwehwe bia yebetimi anya bibia firim yemigidi yesese yeba na se ya yeni ya nka mobeba ne se mobeba sene se dia mahunu ni.
They are therefore appealing to those in authority as well as stakeholders in the tourism industry to help make Kunsu a befitting tourist destination for local and international tourists. Anna Sabit, JoyNews, Kunsu.
President Akufo-Addo has assured the chiefs and people of the Wala traditional area that he was going to redeem all pledges made to the community during his visit to the region. President Akufo-Addo, responding to several concerns in the speech of the Wala overlord, indicated that he was not going to renege on these pledges. JoyNews' Upper West regional correspondent Rafiq Salam reports on day 2 of the tour of the president in the Upper West region.
President Akufo-Addo began his second day tour of the Upper West region at the One House Palace, where he called on the overlord of the Wala traditional area, Nafuseni Cedi Pilipo IV. Speaking on behalf of the overlord, Jempena Kadri Ibrahim commended President Akufo-Addo for redeeming some pledges he made in his last visit before presenting what he described as basket of requests.
The administration of the Wala Senior High School has serious challenges gathering the students under one roof since the age-old assembly hall, which was built to accommodate about 200 students, cannot contain the almost 2,000 student population of today as a result of your flagship senior high school policy. We will appreciate your immediate intervention on the above cases for us.
President Akufo-Addo pledged to fix all concerns raised in the One House basket of requests.
The administration block and accommodation for the expanded population of Wala Senior High School. So I want to assure you through your spokesperson that the basket of requests are all going to be dealt with.
He then headed to the BK Adama Multipurpose Youth Resource Center to inspect ongoing works at the site. Work rate according to consultants for the project on the first phase is 98% complete, whilst the second phase is about 30% complete. The project being executed by Apke Enterprise Limited is expected to be fully completed before the end of the year. President Akufo-Addo was impressed with the performance of the contractor.
98.
The first phase is 90%.
98?
Yes, sir.
So that's virtually complete.
Yes, but the second phase is 30%.
Then the second phase will be over when?
30th December.
This year?
Yes, sir.
So when I come here next year, everything will be here?
Yes, sir.
Excellent. All right. Thank you very much. And thank you for that assurance.
He then rolled out of town and headed to Lamuse, where he called on the Lamuse Kworo Isaac Zenge Kazier II. He then did a whistle stop over at the Agenda 111 hospital project, for the Lamusia district.
President Akufo-Addo claimed his second day tour of the Upper West region, where he cast off for work to begin on the non-dollarization project. Minister for Roads and Highways, Mr. Mankwata, laid bare what the project entails.
It will be a 2-lane dual carriageway of 7 meters each, that is each side, and 2 meters raised walkway on both sides. The road is going to be raised to asphaltic level. Therefore, you are going to have a banda and a wiring course as an overlay. We are going to do all concrete works and other ancillary works along the stretch of this road. We are building an embankment to protect the work and to protect the road.
Interior Minister Ambrose Dere commended the government for the numerous projects in London and the Upper West region at large.
While we were voting NDC, always winning and we were losing, he was showing us love because he knew that we were part of the history. And that is why I encourage the party not to wish away the Domo Buzia tradition. Therein is the action and the answer to the propaganda history that MPP is not our party. He is sitting here today. He cut a song. You can see the streets. Electrification, almost every village in Nando. It's not just a light. During the COVID, our sons and daughters who came from outside the country were working from Nando villages in banks for London and America.
President Akufo-Addo commended the Nandon people for using laid down traditional procedure to skin now Professor Munyan Dele Chiri the 8th as the chief of Nandon. He reiterated earlier calls urging the security services and the civilian population to work in tandem to bring peace to the country.
We have to work together to make sure that no penetration of Ghana takes place with terrorist infiltrators. That is the only way we can continue to be a beacon of peace, a beacon of stability, a beacon of constitutional development, a beacon of democracy in our region and on the continent of Africa. And I'm encouraging each and every one of us here in the region and throughout the country to become one with the security agencies of our nation to make sure that our country continues to be at peace.
Reporting for JoyNews, Rafik Salam, Nandom.
And back here in the studio, that's all we have for you here on the Pulse of the JoyNews channel. Do make time with us next time. Tomorrow, I'm Blessed Sogah. Log on to myjoyonline.com for more updates.